Welcome to Golf Talk. My name is Pat White. I'll be your host today, and joining me is Director of Golf Operations Casey Flanagan and Director of Maintenance Operations Wells McClure. Let me tell you something that happened to me last week. Last week I formed a normal routine to go play at Tanasi, get out, park my car, put the clubs over my shoulders, walk up to the halfway house, and nobody's home. So something changed. What's going on over there?
Well, then you probably looked down the hill and saw that new building, Pat.
I did.
Inside that building is now our temporary operation. That'll serve its purpose for the next couple of years while the new clubhouse is being built. So inside that building, you'll see a nice counter there for you to check in for golf. We'll also have a food and beverage operation in there. The food part, still working out some minor details there. You can get some light snack options. But the beverage operation is going in full function for sure, Pat. And a lot of people are hanging out, having a beverage of their choice after their round. If you go over to the lounge area that's inside of that modular home, you'll notice there's 8 or 9 tables with chairs, 4 TVs inside that lounge. So a nice place, a view of the lake, so a nice place to hang out. There will be a deck on the back of that building. So once that deck is built, you'll be able to go outside and enjoy that beverage of choice and maybe settle a bet or two after your round. So we're definitely happy to have that. And I'd like to give a shout out to the staff at Tanasi as well. That was a tough working environment there for 8 months. So very thankful for all of them that stuck with it.
Goes back a long way, doesn't it? It goes back all the way to the fire and all the people who got involved. And special thanks to the people that shuttle those carts back and forth during freezing weather.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good deal. So Casey, unrelated to the last topic, but I noticed that the Twilight Hours have changed.
They have. As of May 1st, Twilight Hours begin at 1 p.m. now. So with sun coming up earlier and Wells and his tremendous teams being able to get the golf courses ready a little sooner with no frost and no weather impeding their progress in the mornings, we're able to start tee time sooner. So we're able to get more 18-hole times, so we afford the Twilight Hour one hour sooner. So which I think that's a win-win for everybody involved.
Well, last month we talked a little bit about the number of rounds that are increasing, and from your perspective with maintenance, more rounds relates to more wear and tear on the courses. Can you give us golfers some tips to help us all be better stewards of the golf courses?
Absolutely, Pat. Something we've seen since COVID is just, we've increased our rounds, 30-40% since COVID. I mean, more people are playing more golf, which means more carts are running through the golf course. And we're seeing a lot more wear and tear, especially in these areas between the cart path and the fairway. And the way most of the Tellico Village courses are built, there's kind of a specific area to get into the golf course, into the fairway, and an area to get out. So anytime that you're out there playing and you can avoid the common traffic pattern, if you notice a worn out area, just try to, I always try to say, just stay in the good grass. Avoid, if it's brown, go around. One of those sayings.
Hey, great saying.
Yeah. So if it looks worn and you see other people driving through there, just go up a little further. Just because the green stake is right there and that's where everyone turns in, go up a little further and find you a nice area to enter the golf course at. And also too, we're seeing a lot of delayed green up in fairways right now. And a lot of that delayed green up has to do with the winter cart traffic. We kind of had a perfect storm of conditions last fall. We had a extended drought period in September and October as our Bermuda grass is getting ready to go dormant. And then we had extremely cold temperatures around December, around Christmas, where the temperatures actually dropped 40 degrees in about 12 hours. And talking to some university researchers at the University of Tennessee, they said around 2/3 of the superintendents in the state are seeing some delayed Bermuda grass this year. So if you're out playing and you notice an area that's brown, for instance, the hillside on 4 where everyone's tee shot lands, if you notice the first half of that fairway is really green, 0 cart traffic. Where everyone's tee shot lands, it's kind of brown, a little slow to green up. So, rather than driving right out to your ball, if you notice an area like that, maybe park in the rough and just take a little walk out there and avoid those worn out areas. That'll help us a lot.
Okay, Wells, you ready for a curveball question?
Let's see it.
Okay, so if you're playing the golf courses, and particularly you get around the green area, you'll see these berms, these little hills that we have that are protecting the cart paths or the side or the runoff. And you see these little brown spots. It looks, I don't know, it look like little volcanoes. They're all over the place. What are those?
Yeah, Pat, one thing we've noticed along the past, really since I've been here, we've noticed an increase in fire ants around the golf course. And that's just part of being in East Tennessee right now. The amount of fire ants in our area have definitely, we feel like, have moved up from Georgia.
Yep.
And it's best to stay away from those areas. Our golf course maintenance teams try to treat those areas as much as we can, but a lot of times they'll kind of lay dormant in the ground, and we get a good rain event or something, and we see more after rain events, and that's typically when we'll go out and treat those areas. But it's best to just avoid them.
Now that then goes to Casey and us players. So my ball sits right on top of one of those little fire ant volcanoes. Do I get ground under repair relief?
You do. I can't tell you the exact rule number that it is in
Yeah,
the book, but
okay.
it is a burrowed animal. So anytime your ball comes to rest, or if your stance is within a burrowed animal hole, you do get free relief. A good example of that, Pat, is the fire ant situation, where that puts you in a dangerous situation to try to strike that golf ball or stand on that golf ball. So because of that dangerous situation, you would get relief. Now, I'm not telling you that if your ball's behind a tree and you feel like you're going to hit that tree, then that's a dangerous situation, you get relief. That's not the case, right?
Yeah,
but a burrowed animal definitely warrants free relief.
Yeah, and those little things hurt too, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't want to find out.
So Casey, we've had some really, really unusual spring weather. Wells touched on it a little bit ago. How's that affected the rounds?
Well, through March, rounds were through the roof, right? We had some really good shoulder month weather there. And then in April, we saw 7 days impacted by rain. So that definitely brought rounds down a little bit. But year to date, rounds are still up. We're seeing our annual members really knocking it out of the park. They're playing a lot of golf. And that's a good thing. They're utilizing that program. But we also saw in April our prepaid and our dailies start to show up, Pat. They're kind of coming out of hibernation from the bad weather and ready to enjoy our beautiful golf courses. And so we're thankful for that.
Well, perfect. And Wells, how's that affected you in your maintenance operations?
Yeah, the slow spring has definitely affected our maintenance operation a little bit. We've just kind of been sitting and watching the Bermuda grass. It's been green for a while. I think our last frost was the beginning of April. But the first 2 weeks of April were pretty good, and then the last 2 weeks of April we were consistently below our 5-year average on soil temperatures. The good news is now, though, since May started, we're right around in the mid-60s, even 70 degrees now. So from about the first week of May, the Bermuda grass is really starting to take off, and greens are all healed in, and we're ready to go for a good season.
So Wells, I'm not going to let you off easy. Next question is for you.
Okay.
I was reading in the POA quarterly update a award that was recently received by Jordan Clark. Can you update us on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Kahiti, the Links of Kahiti actually this year won the Private Course of the Year, which is an award given by the Tennessee Turfgrass Association at our annual conference. The Tennessee Turfgrass Association board elects and votes on a course in the state for different awards. They have a Public Course of the Year, Private Course of the Year, Athletic Field of the Year, and Jordan won it this year based on what they thought and voted on. And I couldn't think of any better opportunity for Jordan to showcase his golf course. I've been in Tellico Village since 2011. Jordan took the job in 2016, and Kahiti has always been a good course, but it has exponentially gotten better since Jordan got there. When he first got there, in my opinion, the greens were a little soft, the rough was very thick, and the bunkers were a major problem. And so a few things that he was able to do right off the bat was address the greens firmness, the greens health, and the rough situation. Now, that was the big complaint every year, was the rough. It was too thick at Kahiti. People didn't want to play it.
I remember that well.
Yep. So Jordan addressed that, got the greens in line with his practices and his moisture management, and the greens are phenomenal at Kahiti right now. And then, he developed a plan to get the bunkers redone. And it's a different golf course, in my opinion, and it continues to get better. Some of his detail work around the edges of the hole, around the clubhouse, and now with these new hole signs that he's come out with, really, I mean, it just keeps getting better every year, and Jordan does a phenomenal job. And
I 100% agree. What a great impact he and his team have done down there.
Absolutely.
And if you get an opportunity, folks, stop him and say thanks. Appreciate it. And Casey, this question goes to you. We've recently wrapped up a few pretty big events here in Tellico Village, and we've got some more coming up.
We do, Pat. We had our all-vendor demo day at Toqua. It started at noon, and about 1:45, I had to kind of pull the plug. The weather was bad and didn't want to put people in a dangerous situation. But in that hour and 45 minutes, we did $20,000 in gross sales.
Wow.
So that's definitely a win for golf, a great chance for our corporate sponsors to be on site and meet some of our members and showcase what they have to offer, and we love those partnerships.
And it was a great opportunity for folks like me to refresh my golf clubs.
I was going to say, Pat, I think you got a new set of Callaway clubs, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So, we're glad to see you out there. I think you were early, right? Got there early. That's right. So, and then we completed our SNEDS Tour event. The SNEDS Tour is the predominant junior tour in the state of Tennessee. SNEDS is short for Brant Snedeker, the PGA Tour player. It's his tour that he endorses, and they had a ton of players at both Tokwa and Kahiti. They had a 2-day event, and Pat, their social media account is followed by more than 10,000 people, and they put all kinds of stuff. And I estimate the impressions were over 5,000 impressions made on social media, just off of their tweets and their Facebook stuff. So a win for golf there as well, and a great chance for people that aren't members to see our golf courses. Actually got a lot of feedback from some of those parents that I know personally, and like, wow, those golf courses are incredible. And I'm like, yeah, come see us on the weekends, right?
Exactly.
Coming up on June 3rd, we will have the library outing. The library outing is always a big success, and I'm glad to partner with the library and help them. And then we have our Red-tailed Hawk Invitational, which is known as our men's member guest. That's June 14th through 17th. So that's kind of your June highlights of your big events. And then we obviously still have our golf leagues, which are in full swing. And they're really seeing a big number of people playing in those. So golf's booming.
So a couple of my favorite segments of Golf Talk are the tips. So do you have a tip for us today?
We do, Pat. So how do you get each hole started? What happens?
Hit a driver. That's
right, unless you're on a par 3, right? And maybe some folks do need to hit a driver on a par 3, and that's okay too.
I'll call those a Tellico 5-wood.
I teach golf from the green back.
Yeah.
So if you're on the green and you're not putting well, right? Well, now there's stress on you to get the ball close to the hole, right? Well, if you're not hitting greens, now you're really stressed because you got to chip it close to the hole, right? Well, if you're not in the fairway, then it's hard to hit it on the green.
Right.
So now you have a lot of stress. So drivers are very important. So the assistant professional at Kahiti, Mr. Jay Bergen, has an incredible tip on driving, and I think our players are going to enjoy this segment.
Well, let's take a look.
Hey everybody, I'm Jay Bergen. I'm assistant golf professional here at Kahiti. I've been here for a little bit about a year now, and I played college golf at Maryville College just down the road about 30 minutes. And last month we talked with Casey, we talked about the short game. This month we're going to talk about the driver, and we're going to try to go for a world long drive championship at the end of it. So first things first is the grip. There's multiple kind of ways to do it. The two biggest one is the interlock, where your left, if you're right-handed anyway, your left index finger and your right pinky finger overlap each other. And the other one, also being right-handed, is your right pinky overlaps on your left index finger. You're not interlocking at all. It's just your right finger overlapping. Now, for me, I like to interlock, and the reason why is because I tend to strengthen my hands too much, causing me to get really too tight with my grip. And when you're gripping it, you almost want to feel like you're holding an egg, but without breaking the egg, if that makes more sense. Because I see a lot of people, they'll try to strangle it and grip it as tight as they possibly can. That's going to cause your club head to either go left, or you get lucky and you hit it good, but you keep your club head open the whole way because you don't have a chance to move it at all. And when we're swinging driver, we really want to make sure that our hands aren't really stiff along with our arms. We want to be able to move them a little bit. And that goes pretty much all clubs, with the exception of probably chipping is where you want to keep your hands straight, and as well as putting for the most part. Now, with that being said, with the grip, when we're setting up, we want to make sure that our feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, okay? I see a lot of people, their feet are too close or they're way out too wide, okay? We want to make sure that our feet are just slightly more than shoulder width apart. Doing so gives us a little more balance, a little more flexibility. And when we're doing so, as set up as well, we want to make sure your feet flare out a little bit, okay? Going in diagonal directions. If you get your feet too close, i.e. like this, your feet are basically facing the ball at once, you have no hip rotation basically, or you're going to try to force hip rotation, right? Moving your feet outward a little bit will give your hips, your back, and your shoulders, and chest a little bit better chance of rotating more. You're not quite really stuck or forcing anything back, hurting your back more, hurting your hips. Open your feet up, open your stance up becomes way, way easier on the body over time, all right? Secondly is ball position. I see a lot of people will put driver way in the middle of their stance, i.e. right here, right between the feet, okay? What you want to do with the driver, and more so as well with the woods as well, 3 woods, 5 woods, and hybrids as well, you want to put it more up in the front towards your stance, up more where your left heel or your left foot is, okay? Doing so will give your driver, because it's a longer club lengthwise, gives you more time for your club to catch up to the ball. If you put it in the back too much, you'll have a better chance of coming in too steep, where you'll top the ball more, or you hit a bunch of pop-ups. You might get lucky and hit it good, but it's gonna get like 10 feet off the ground, and we don't want that. Putting it more up on the front of the stance gives you a better chance to catch it more on the upswing and give you more topspin over time. The easiest way to look at it and show you what I'm talking about, if I'm coming in too steep, you either have two options. You hit the top of the ball and it doesn't go anywhere, or you might catch contact because you're coming in too steep. You'll hit the top of the face, it jumps straight up in the air, pops up, goes 20 feet out in front of you, and you don't even get past your own tee box, right? Or the third option is where you catch it good, but because you're coming in low and you're coming in steep, that ball is only going to get about 15 feet off the ground and never go anywhere. If you come in more on the upswing, and almost like you're hitting a ball off the tee, like you're playing t-ball in baseball, right? If you catch it more on the upswing, that generates more topspin. So you get more height, you get more carry, and then you get rollout. We're not necessarily trying to fly the ball to a certain spot and stay there like a wedge is. We're trying to fly a ball a pretty good distance and play rollout. That's the biggest thing with the driver. We want distance, but at the same time, we want to generate certain kind of spin. Backspin, and with windy conditions, you're never going to hit a fairway. You just never will. If you have top spin on it where it comes off more like a knuckleball, the wind won't affect it as much, and it becomes much more penetrating and much more easier to get the ball to go where you want it to go. Right? Okay, now we're back to the swing. So now we know where setup is, now we know how grip is, all right? Once we get to the swing, this is the biggest thing I see a lot of people when it comes to drivers. Not as much as irons and wedges, but mainly just the drivers. I see a lot of people get way too armsy with it. See how I'm not using any of my hips or my back or my shoulders. It's just straight arms all the way in the backswing, all the way down through the follow through. That's where the slice comes from. Everyone always asks, where's the slice come from? It's because you have no body. It is all arms. You are steeped at the top. You're not flat. You're way up here using all arms. Then you get stuck, and because you're trying to help yourself, you throw your arms at it. And you have one option. That's leave the club face open, and it goes 30 yards right, or you might get lucky and you get your club face to close, but because you came in so steep and so across it, it's a snap hook left every single time. All right? So the biggest thing I want you to feel is when you get to the top, for one, instead of trying to feel arms, feel like your hip, your right hip, and your right shoulder go backwards, back towards like the houses back here behind me. Make them go back and tug backwards to you, right? As well as your hands. Make your hands go flatter, okay? Try to feel like you're sitting them on a table behind you, right? When you get it back here at the top of your backswing, when you start your downswing, feel like your club head drops basically. And you want to feel like your right arm tucks into your hip. And what you want to do after that is, if you ever work out and you do squats, you basically want to feel like you're doing a back squat. Move your knees down and you stick your butt out. Tug in your right elbow and you come in a little more shallow. See, I'm not as steep as what some of you might be. You're more shallow and you feel like you're almost making a sweeping motion across the ground. Doing so will cause your hips more into the swing, your legs more into the swing. Our driver swing, it's not arms. It's all about the arms only help with structure. The body is what creates the swing, right? So with that being said, let's try to see if we can hit one down the middle up here. About as good as I can hit one, so don't ask me to do another one because that's like a 1 in 100 shot, okay? So back to what I was saying, if you have any other questions, guys, please feel free to contact any of us pros. Call us, get in contact with us. We'll all be glad to help you out. Thank you, guys.
I greatly enjoyed Mark Croy's warm-up video last month actually, and it benefited me greatly.
Yep.
Did you bring us another one?
We've got another one from Mark. He's our local TPI instructor. He's certified and he's got all kinds of certifications, and he offers many classes, flexibility, strength training for men and women. And so watch this video from Mark, and he's going to show you a little bit more about how to become golf ready.
Hi, I'm Mark Croy. I'm a Titleist Performance Institute fitness professional. I have been training all levels of golfers, all ages of golfers since 2007. What I'm going to do is present to you today some great exercises. As we age, we start to lose mobility, flexibility, core, Come in and see me. We take you through a movement screen. We find out what your restrictions are, what your strengths are, weaknesses are, and we make a personalized program to help you take your golf game to the next level and keep you playing safe and having fun. I'm going to demonstrate some excellent stretches and mobility exercises to do before you go practice hitting golf balls or go play around. This exercise is called a straight arm shoulder overhead stretch. So what you want to do is grab the head of your club and grab the bottom of your, grab your shaft here. And what you want to do is put your arm up straight as it will go, and you just take this and just push back until you feel a good stretch. It should not hurt. Don't push into pain. Also, don't let your elbow bend. You want to keep that arm as straight as you can and just push it back and hold this for a good 15 seconds. This is called a hamstring stretch, a seated hamstring stretch. Get yourself in a chair. You can actually do this on the golf cart as well. What you want to do is you want to put your leg out as straight as it will go. This one's bent down here for balance. You want this leg as straight as it will go with your toe pulled up. Don't point your toe. Pull your toe back. So, it might feel a little bit of stretch in your calf as well. And then what you want to do is you just want to hinge forward. So you don't want to round your shoulders out. You want to stay nice and tall and just kind of like you're bringing your chest down to your knee. And again, don't let it bend. And just bring the stretch or the tension to where it's comfortable. It should not hurt. You want to feel a decent stretch. Hold this for 15 or 20 seconds. This stretch is for the shoulder. It's really for external rotation. So when you go into your back swing and when you swing through, you have good shoulder motion. So what you want to do is you want to reverse grip your club. So grab the head of your club, make sure this comes down the back side. Move your arm out to the side and again just pull into external rotation or pull into rotation here. Don't pull so hard that it hurts. You should just feel a decent stretch on this. And again, hold this for about 15 seconds. This is a mobility drill for your middle back and your hips. It's called a split stance thread the needle. So you can use a chair, you can use the side of the golf cart. And what you want to do is you want to get your feet pretty wide apart, and you can have that back heel up or down. I kind of prefer it up because you're going to work a little bit on balance while you're doing this as well. And just stabilize yourself here. And this is called threading the needle because I'm pushing the thread through. I want to keep my hips square. I don't want my hips to rotate. I just reach through, and then I come around and follow with your eyeballs. Rotate up as high as you can. Reach through. Rotate up as high as you can. Again, don't open your hips up. Keep your hips square, and you should feel this through your middle back and probably over on your left side in your glute a little bit. And I do like 10 of these on each side at about this pace. Again, it's just a mobility drill. This is a mobility exercise for your middle back. You're going to get a little bit of a stretch through your hips and your glutes, but mainly it's for your middle back for rotation. You want to get your feet wide enough apart that when you sit back, you can put your elbow on the inside of this knee and your hand on the inside of this knee and hold this knee. They can't be on the outside. They got to be on the inside. You're going to be squatted, so you should feel a good stretch through here. Your arm hangs straight down, and you just rotate as high as you can go. Follow with your eyes. Back down. Follow with your eyes, and back down. You want to do 10 to 15 of those on each side. Okay, this is a calf stretch. Use your irons for this. You want to get your feet really far apart. You're going to use this for balance. You want to make sure that back heel stays down. And all you're going to do is take your front knee and bend it, but keep your back heel on the ground and make sure your legs stay straight. Don't let your knee bend. And just push into your heel as you lean forward and just let your hips go forward. And again, using this for balance. And again, hold this for about 15, 20 seconds each side. Okay. Well, if you enjoyed all these exercises today, please get a hold of me. Come in for a screen and let us find out what's going on with your swing, with your body, and put a custom program together just for you.
Well, gentlemen, thank you both for joining us on Golf Talk this month. All the tips, the hints, the stewardship, I appreciate it all very much. And we want to thank all of you for watching, and join us again next month.